Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana, and together they form a powerful trio that allows us to gather, process, and visualize data in real time. Whether you are a system administrator, developer, or a security analyst, the ELK stack is an essential tool for gaining insight from your data. Throughout this tutorial, I am going to guide you step by step in setting up the ELK stack on your system. And by the end of this tutorial, you will have a fully functional ELK stack running on your machine, ready to handle and analyze data like a pro.
The Elastic Stack, also known as the ELK stack, basically your Elasticsearch, your Logstash, and your Kibana offers several benefits for the cybersecurity applications. It is widely used in cybersecurity domain due to its capabilities in handling and analyzing vast amount of data that is being generated by the security systems and applications. And it also offers lots of benefits like centralized log management, real-time analysis, scalability and performance. With the Kibana we also get visualization and dashboards. With the capabilities of Logstash and our Elasticsearch, we basically can perform a threat hunting activities. We can also perform forensics and investigations, and there are like n number of benefits which basically my ELK stacks provide me when we are talking about in perspective of as a SIEM tool or security event incident management tool. So let's get into it. So first of all, what you're going to do is, in order to set up this whole stack, we are going to download Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. And for today's demonstration, we are going to perform it on a Windows machine. Okay, as you can see here, I have already selected my platform as Windows. Okay, I will be providing all of these links into the video description over the YouTube, so please have a look at it, and you can download all of these like the latest build from there itself. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about Elasticsearch. I have already downloaded the files, okay, because it's almost around like 170 or 200 MB, so it's going to take some quite time. I have already downloaded them, okay, and I have already extracted them. So in the meantime, like you guys are downloading the file, this platforms at your end, let me tell you a little bit about all of these things. Okay, so when we are talking about Elasticsearch, it's basically responsible for storing and indexing data. Please note it that your Elasticsearch isn't going to fetch logs of its own. Okay, lots of people get into the confusion that if Elasticsearch is there, so Elasticsearch is basically going to fetch all the logs and then going to index it and share with Kibana, so there we can visualize it. That's not the thing. Elasticsearch is only used in order to store and index the data. Elasticsearch also provide RESTful APIs in order to receive and index the data from various sources. And once you have Elasticsearch set up, it will be ready to receive and index the data from Logstash. Okay, so when we're talking about Logstash, is basically responsible for collecting, processing, and sending data to the Elasticsearch. Now to fetch logs from remote servers, we are going to configure input plugins in Logstash that can handle various log sources. And for that, you can have FileBeat, WinLogBeat, AuditBeat, whatsoever the configuration you're comfortable with. You can configure those plugin along with the Logstash, and you can also do the same on the remote machines if you want to fetch the logs from there. After that, now we have something which is going to fetch the logs. We have something which is going to search and basically index the logs and store it. Now we need a platform where we can basically visualize this all of this information which we got it from Logstash and Elasticsearch and perform our furthermore analysis. So for that we have Kibana. Now Kibana is basically your data visualization tool, and once the logs are indexed in Elasticsearch through your Logstash, we can use Kibana to create visualization, dashboards, and perform searches and queries on the data. Okay, so let's start into it. So what you have to do is just download all of your this stack, okay, from these links which I'm going to provide. Select it for the Windows platform, as I already have them here. So let me just proceed with the installation process. So the installation process is quite easy for your ELK stack. Okay, I have myself gone through lots and lots of tutorials over the YouTube before creating this one, and I found it out that people are like complicating it. Okay, like going to the like the config file and then making changes into the YML file, adding some settings here and there and all. But if you're basically going to set up in your localhost machine, the process is going to be very easy. Let me show you how we can get it done. And even if you're going to set up it on a live server, only like certain types of like we are going to only change certain types of configuration. So basically, in a live environment, what's going to happen is that you're going to set up your ALK stack on a central server on a central server, and then you are going to install agents or the Logstash or the B tools over the other remote systems or the applications from where you want to fetch the logs. And in that setup configuration, you might need to do some changes into the configuration file. But if you're just going to do it on your local machine, then it's going to be pretty easy and straightforward. Speaking of that, your Elastic is also available over the cloud platform now. So if you go and search about Elastic Cloud, okay, you can sign up here, and it's basically they're going to provide you 12 or 14 days free access. I'm not sure like what is the correct timeline, but for that period of time, you can use your Elastic Stack just as like we use Datadog. Okay, now we know that Datadog is a very great tool when it comes to the live monitoring of the logs and the host. So just like that, your Elastic is also very much capable of it. But if you don't want to use the cloud services, okay, you can also set up in on your own machine or your server. So let me show you what's the process. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to set up Elasticsearch. After that, we are going to set up Kibana, and at last we are going to set up the Logstash. So let me quickly get into it. Process is very easy. Get into the Elasticsearch folder, get into the bin, and here you can see I have some batch file called elasticsearch.bat. So what all I'm going to do is basically I'm going to launch this particular command. Okay, just let me just check. The files are here completely. Okay, so just double click on it and it's going to launch. Now just wait for like a couple of minutes. It's going to take time, so be patient with it. But once the setup is going to be done, it's going to show you the password which we are going to use in order to log in with the Elasticsearch. Apart from this, it's also going to give us an like a allotment token basically, by which we are going to set up our Kibana tool. So the whole setup process is going to be pretty easy and straightforward. So just give it some time and let it run. So here it is running, loading the modules and all. And let's see if we have any information here. So it's giving me the node ID and all. Desktop controller 7800. Profiling is enabled. Seems good until now. And you can also see it has run over the, okay, it's just going on and on. Else I basically wanted to show you that yeah, here it is. Like right now it's okay. Anyways, you can see that it has like gave me my password, and here is basically my enrollment token, which I was telling you about, which we are going to use in order to set up our Kibana. Anyways, the main thing which I wanted to show it to you that our server is up and running over the localhost 9300. So let's quickly have a look at it. So it's localhost, and this is 9300. It was usually though 9200. Let me just check on port number 9200 as well. Publish address is 9300 only. Well, though usually you're going to find out that your Okay, here it is actually 9200 only. This is for something else. So if I'm going to check, okay, so both of them are basically not responding as of now, but that's completely fine. We will see it in a moment or so. So let me just run it again. Okay, and this is basically my IP address of my system. That's why showing as the publish address. In a live environment, you're going to find out the address of your server. Okay, if you want to configure it for your live machine, let me also tell you that how you can get it done. Okay, you have to go into the config file, and here it is. Go to this particular file, which is elasticsearch.yml, which is basically a configuration file for this Elasticsearch. So I'm going to open with a text editor. I have Sublime text here. Let's open it quickly. Anyways, here it is, and you can see here it's showing you for the cluster. You are also going to provide the path, okay, where you want to store the data and all, which you are fetching. And here is basically you're going to make the rest of the changes, like what's going to be a network host, and where you are basically going to make the like this tool running on which port number. Okay, and just like that, you're also going to mention your like the security features and all. Okay, if you are running in a localhost environment, make sure that you turn it on the false, or it might give you errors. But in a live environment, you obviously want to share your like logs from the host to the central server, and all the commands running from your central server to the host machines in an encrypted manner, right? So for that, you are going to enable this as true. So anyways, in the meantime it's running, let me just quickly copy my password. Okay. Okay, my password, control N, ELK, elastic password, token value. Okay, so right now it's showing localhost not responding. Okay, we can restart it. Okay, so right now it's showing this page isn't working. Localhost didn't send any data, so it's completely fine, nothing to worry about. Your Elasticsearch has been configured. It's just not getting any sort of data, so that's why it's showing me this error. You don't have to worry about anything. We will look into it like furthermore details when we are going to set up the Kibana. Anyways, here we have, and here you can also see that it's showing me the security issue, the token I was telling you, the SSL certificate. You just have to like set it false. But let me first copy my enrollment token. Okay, so because I'm going to require it in order to set up my Kibana at later stage. Anyways, let's make the changes here. It's going to be false. It's also going to be false. My bad. And SSL I don't want it. Though we have already mentioned these part. Okay, transport.ssl, but let's see, do it. Okay, so we have provided that we are not sending the data in the encrypted manner. Okay, no encryption is going to be there because we are running into the local host. So that's being said, I have saved the file, I assume. Yes, it's there. Let's close it. These are the ELK configuration and all. Let me just press 2 times Control C and C, and it's basically going to exit the operation. Yes, I want to terminate the batch job, and it's gone. Anyways, what we're going to do next is we are going to set up our Kibana. Okay, but in order to set up our Kibana, we also need the requirement of the this Elasticsearch should be running on. So let me launch the batch file again, Elasticsearch batch file, and once it's going to run, I will be configuring my Kibana part. So just again, like give it a moment or so and let it run. So where it is. Okay, so it's giving my node ID and all. So basically it's running. Security is disabled as you can see because we just have set it to be false, and right now it's showing me onto the 127001, but this is not the this is the transfer service basically. We are going to find out our Logstash running onto the port number 9200 by default. If you want to change it, I have already shown it to you that you can simply go to the elasticsearch.yml file, and from there you can change the network host and the port number as per your live server requirement. Okay, anyway, just give it a moment or so. In the meantime, let's see if it's running or not. 9200. Okay, so basically saying localhost refused to connect. The site cannot be reached, so it's not yet up completely. Just give it a couple of minutes here. Anyways, let me also clear out the queries which I have received from couple of people. Okay, you have asked me like what is the difference between the Logstash and the beat which we use. Okay, it could be audit beat, it could be file beat and all. So let me tell you that your Logstash supports various input plugins in order to collect data from sources like log files, databases, message queues, and network streams. Okay, Logstash also provides numerous filter plugins to parse, transform, and enrich the data. Moreover, it also offers output plugins to send the processed data to various destinations, including the Elasticsearch for indexing and storage. And Logstash is highly customizable, and it is very much suitable for complex data processing scenarios. Okay, whereas when you are talking about audit beat, unlike Logstash, beats are like any beats basically are designed for lightweight data collection and have lower resource requirement. Audit beat in particular is basically focused on collecting audit data such as file system activity, login attempts, system calls from your basically different application sources and all. Okay, and your audit beat could also be worked with or could also be used on Mac OS and Windows in order to collect security related data. And that's why basically audit beat simplifies the process of gathering security relevant events and forwarding them to Elasticsearch for the analysis. So if you are dealing with very complex data, so you can use Logstash. If you are just using it for cybersecurity purposes, you can use audit beat. In today's demonstration, first I'm going to set up with the Logstash because that demand is much more over the YouTube, the ELK stack and all. If you guys need another video where I'm going to basically demonstrate that how we are going to configure it with audit beat, please let me down below in the comments, and I will be coming up with that video as soon as possible. Okay, so anyways, let's try it again. If it's still okay, so it's still showing me the same part. Okay, so just give it some other moment. Okay, here it is. It's what's it showing. Okay, so it's green, so basically it's telling me that previous my health data was red and right now it's green, so basically it should be running completely fine now. So as you can see, I also got the address here, which is my own IP address and port number 9200, and here you can see on the localhost 9200 I got this particular part which is telling me that my elastic configuration has been successfully done. Now all we have to do is to set up the Kibana, and after that we will be going with the Logstash. So again, the setup process of Kibana is very simple. All you have to do is to get into the bin directory and launch this Kibana bat file. So let me just double click on it, and while you're doing so, make sure that your server with the basically Elasticsearch is still running into the background. Okay, and allow it some time. Okay, even if it's showing like some error code like health status is red. So basically, if your Windows having enough resources, okay, in order to handle the Elasticsearch, health is going to be green because we haven't made any sort of changes as of now. We are just running into its by default configuration. So in a general case scenario, it should give us the green as a health part. Okay, so just make sure that you are in your local installation you are not making any sort of changes with the configuration file, and if you're doing so, make sure that the changes you're making, you know that what you are doing in that. Okay, just don't take anything from there and pasting there. You should know that what the exact thing you're doing. Okay, anyways, just like my Elasticsearch, Kibana is also going to take some time, okay, in order to run the process. But once you're going to done, the rest of the things are pretty much easy. All we have to do is to paste this enrollment token, and my Kibana is going to set up as my Elastic, configured with the Elasticsearch. And then I can access the Kibana dashboard using the username as Elastic, because that's the by default username. You can also change it, and then we are going to enter the password. On the same note, I have also received lots of queries where people were finding it very difficult that how they are going to update the password. So for that, all you have to do is just to go to the Elasticsearch installation. Okay, and like this is the URL. I will be sharing the same over in the video description. You can take it from there. Okay, and all you have to do is to run this particular command in order to reset the password. Okay, so when you're going to run it, it's going to take let's say 30-40 seconds, and then it's going to ask that you would like to see the password over the console. Just type yes, and then it's going to give you the updated password over the console, and that you can use on your end. But we already noted down the password, so we are not going to reset it. Yeah. So let's see where my Kibana has started. Okay, so it's still running on. Obviously these things are going to take some time, so don't rush it, let it run on their own pace. Okay, my Kibana is basically they got on port number, I'm not sure. So again, you can, like, if you want to make any sort of changes, you can do it on the kibana.yml file. Let me just open it and show it to you all. Like, what are the settings do we get? So my Kibana run on the by default port number 5601. If you would like to change in your live environment, or even when you're installing it in your local host, you can just uncomment it and mention your new port number. You can also see the server.host is showing me localhost, which is absolutely fine because that's where we are installing it. And you can see that all the SSL part is also being commented. So if you have like a proper SSL certificate, or basically you're setting it on a live server, or in a live environment, at that moment you're basically going to uncomment all of these part as per your requirement and mention your values whatsoever they are. Okay, it's still running. Apart from this, if you have checked, Elastic has also introduced integrations. Okay, so let me show it to you basically what I'm saying. So Elastic integrations. Okay, so basically now if you would like to fetch the logs or the details from your, let's say, container, or from your Docker, or from your AWS cloud, or you would like to see the APM, okay, application performance management and all of these. So for that you are basically simply getting the integrations, and the process is again very simple. Okay, it's basically my integrations are going to make sure that your host, or basically your application, is sending all the data to the Elasticsearch, and from there it's getting indexed and parsed, and you can visualize that data over the Kibana. Okay, so it provide me lots and lots of integrations. Obviously not more than Datadog though, but yes, they still have a very good library, and they add new integrations like in all of their updates. So you can see that I have .NET, I have Aerospike, Airflow, Akamai, Amazon CloudWatch, EC2 instance, DynamoDB, all of these things I have. Even if you would like to set up, let's say that you would like to fetch the logs from your Windows host. Okay, so all you have to do is you have to install the integration there, and then it's going to show to. So I search Windows here, and you can see it's showing me three parts: custom Windows event logs, Windows, which is logs and metrics. So basically, if you would like to go with logs and metrics, just click on this, and after that it's going to tell you the whole process, that how you can do that. Obviously the configuration is going to be done from your Kibana dashboard itself. Okay, you can basically download the files and all. Once is my Kibana running? Okay, it's not yet running. It's taking too much time. Let me just check it one. Yeah, right now it's still booting up, so that's why it's showing me the local host cannot be loaded. Anyways, I was telling you about the integrations. So we were having an example of Windows that we want to collect the logs from the Windows itself from a remote Windows system. Okay, in today's demonstration, I will be showing you that how you can fetch the logs from your own local machine by configuring the Logstash. Okay, in Logstash, basically we are going to create a new file which is going to be basically your learn.conf or basically learn.configuration file, you can also say. Okay, in that file I'm going to mention that from where I'm going to give it the output. Okay, and at that particular in a code, I will be basically telling my Logstash in order to fetch the logs from my local host 9200, which is basically my Elasticsearch running on, and along with that I'm going to provide it a index name and user and password. Now indexes are also a very great thing which is provided by the Elastic. So once my Kibana is going to be up and running, okay, which is now, as you can see, it has been started. So let me just go and refresh the page again, and yeah, you can see it's showing me loading Elastic, but Kibana server is not ready. It's completely fine. We can wait for a couple of moments more, let it get ready completely, and then we are going to proceed with our furthermore process. Anyways, let's see what's happening into the background. Okay, so index not found exception, and Kibana encryption key commands. Okay, so far so good. If this thing is not going to throw any other error. Okay. Anyways, just give it a moment or so, and it will be up and running soon. Yeah, so coming back to the integration part, so let's say that you would like to fetch the logs from a remote Windows machine. So all you have to do is to set up the integration. Now set up the integration is just similar, going to be like you do while you set up a Datadog agent. Now if you're here like watching for the Elastic part SIEM, I'm pretty sure that you might also know about like what Datadog is. Datadog is a very nice tool when it comes to the live monitoring of your host and the getting the logs, viewing the live matrices, uh, performing the log analysis and all, performing threat hunting, and all of that cases, your Datadog is basically going to do a lot of help. And the integration process for Datadog is also very easy. So just like that, we have integrations on Elastic as well, and you can see here it's showing me requirements, and the setup is basically saying ingesting Windows event via Splunk. Now Splunk is also a very great SIM tool. Again, like if you want me to give videos on Splunk or Datadog, like a dedicated series that from setting up to fetching the logs and performing threat monitoring and threat hunting, so let me know into the comments down below, and I will be making a series as soon as possible. Anyways, here we have the requirement. This is the setup, and it says because the Windows integration always apply to the local server, the host config option is not needed. Well, it says the specify drop events logs, or basically it could be a little bit complicated. Let me tell you a very easy manner. Once my Kibana is basically going to like set up now, let me show you inside the dashboard, like from where you can access these things. So here it is. If I go to this particular part, okay, it's basically giving me a article on that how to install standalone Elastic agent. Okay, so this even though it shows as advanced users, but it's pretty easy. Even someone with the basic computer knowledge and knowing that how to work with a terminal can get it set up and up and running in no time. So first you all to have to do is you have to download the agent, which you can download it by clicking on this particular URL. So I click on it and it says download Elastic agent. Then you have to choose the platform for which you want to get it done. So let's say I want it for my Windows, and then I'm going to download it. Okay, and here it giving me basically two options: running agent with Fleet. Now what Fleet is, if you have uh, like uh, like let's say you have 10 or 15 hosts from which you would like to fetch the logs. So rather than like setting agents on one of them and then configuring them at your end and then getting the logs or basically details into the Elasticsearch from the Logstash, that's going to be like a very hectic. Either apart from this, what you can do is you can set up a fleet. Okay, and this fleet is basically going to do is going to manage all of your Elastic agent within the fleet center, and then you can configure the fleet in order to share the data with the Logstash, and Logstash is going to send the data to Elasticsearch where it's going to be get indexed, and then we are going to check it out over the this part. So my file is still getting downloaded. Anyways, in this demonstration I won't be setting up the Elastic agent. Okay, but the process I'm telling you, it's very easy. So you just follow the commands and it's going to be done. If again, if you come across any sort of queries or doubts, don't hesitate to drop a comment, and I will make sure that I'm going to send you like a prompt response. Okay, anyways, okay, we received some errors here. Saved object, Kibana alerting cases. These are errors. Kibana analytics action failed with request timeout. So okay, so we are basically facing request timeout error. My Kibana server is not starting into the requested time frame. That's why it's showing me that error. Yeah, that's why it is there. Anyways, what we are going to do is request timeout, retry attempt 2 in 4 seconds. Attempt 2 in 4 seconds. It's showing only this. It's also created a new target. Okay. It's also again, the configuration process is pretty straightforward and easy, but it's going to take some time, so just be patient with it. Okay, and let's say that if you come across any error and all, just try to reboot the commands again. Okay, and it's going to work absolutely fine. Like as of now, even though my server has been started at the background, it's showing me the Kibana server is not ready because it's getting some sort of error because of running out of the time. Okay, so here we have retrying 1 in 2 seconds, and now we have retry in 3 in 8 seconds. So if it's going to if this is going to happen again, like if we see any other more retry, okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to like stop this and we are going to reboot the services. Okay, and that particular scenario is going to be pretty easy. Anyways, in the meantime, it's running into the background. Okay, what we can do is let's go to the Logstash and create the file which I was telling you, by which we can fetch the logs from our host machine. Okay, so for that, let's go to the config, and this is the only part where you're going to create a part. So here you can see that I already having a logstash.yml file, which if I open and show it to you, okay, it's only telling me the batch part, like from where I'm going to getting the data and the further more settings. One more thing, you can if you are going with your logstash.yml, what you can do is you can go to your I don't want it to open to quick access. I just wanted to open in a new window. So what I basically want to show it to you is that where all of my logs get stored. So you can provide the same path. So just into your Logstash, and the Logstash is going to take the logs directly from the path which you have provided, rather than looking over the windows and searching for the logs, like what to collect and from where to collect and all. Okay, you can also specify the path for a particular application, and you can define multiple path. Okay, it's not like it's going to be only one path or all. You can define multiple path as much as you want. So in order to find out the logs on my system, what you have to do is just go to your C directory, go to the Windows, and here I'm going to get into the system32. Okay, quite big now. System32. Anyways, and we are going to basically get in a folder called WinEVT, or Windows Event for short, and inside this I'm going to find all of the logs whatsoever my machine is generating. So as you can see, logs folder, and these are all the logs that been generated by my system. Even the firewall, PowerShell, all of the logs you are going to find here: application, hardware, Internet Explorer, key management services, Windows, kernel, We also have for the firewall, if I send for the firewall, so your internal firewall which you basically get with your system. Okay, you can see that you have logs for that as well. So what you can do is you can fetch these logs directly to your basically Logstash, and Logstash is basically going to send this data to the Elasticsearch. Okay, anyways, coming back to the point here, let me just see if we are still facing any. Okay, so it's basically saying retrying 4 in 16 seconds, so it's not helping us out. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we are going to kill this process and relaunch the part again. Yes, I would like to terminate this job because we are not doing this job well enough. Huh? Anyways, let's go to the Kibana bin and Kibana again. Okay, in the meantime, Kibana server is booting up again. Let's get into my Logstash and create the configuration file basically which I was telling you about. So open your Sublime or any text editor of your choice, and I don't want the YML file, I'm going to create a new file. Okay, so in this file what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide an input as a standard input, and then I'm going to provide the output as a standard output with a Ruby debug and my Elasticsearch. So let's quickly get into it. So my input is going to be my st standard input. Okay, and that's been my standard input done. Let's set up the output. Okay, and in my output basically I will be moving up with my std out. Also space here, space here, space here. Okay, because I don't want any sort of issue with it. Okay, so here just go and type. First I'm going to type out the codec and giving the value with the pointer which is Ruby debug. Okay, and after this I'm going to enter about my Elasticsearch. So Elasticsearch, ELASTICH. Okay, the spelling is correct. Okay, and then I'm basically going to provide the host. Okay, so as I told you that your Logstash is basically going to fetch the logs. So that's why here it's important for us in order to tell the host. And in our case, we are doing it on a local machine. So I'm going to provide the host for the like a local host here. So HTTP colon localhost, and it's running on the port number 9200. Right after that, I'm going to provide the index. Okay, now index is basically going to tell the Kibana that in what exact format basically the user want to interact with the data. Okay, because you know that I'm going to fetch the logs from different sources, right? Even in this case you can see that I'm going to have application logs, hardware logs, my Microsoft Windows folder API logs, services logs and all, my Windows kernel, firewall, setup, system, all. Now the format of all of these logs from different sources are going to be different. Okay, and you know that the one of the best feature of SIM tools are basically it gives us the functionality in order to correlate the logs, and in order to correlate the logs, they should be in the same format. Okay, or in a similar format basically. So in that particular part, I'm going to specify into the index like in which particular format I'm going to observe these logs, and you can also have multiple indexes in your Kibana, and you can specify like for which particular index would you like to refer your or basically view your data for. Okay, so sorry, stash stash Logstash, and then I'm going to provide the username. So my username is basically going out to be elastic only, elastic, which is by default, and then my password, and my password is basically going out to be the one we have received while setting up the Elasticsearch. So here we are, Control V, and that's the whole configuration. It's completely done. Okay, I'm going to save this file into the logstash.config with the name of learn.conf, learn.conf. Okay, only conf, not confg. Okay, this is like conf file. Okay, just save it. Now it's been saved successfully. Let's see the status of my Kibana. Okay, so this time it worked. Okay, so, or it might not. Let's check it out over the host. Okay, so 5600, okay, 5601, sorry. Okay, so it's there, and it's again telling me the Kibana server is not ready. So let's just wait. That's all we can do as of now, because I have also set up my Logstash file. Okay, and I hope that you understood like what was the purpose of creating this learn.config file. Now all I have to do is I have to run a command within the bin directory here in order to set up this particular file. Okay, the one which we have created. So let me just open the CMD, and the command which is basically I'm going to type is my logstash. I'm also going to provide all of these command into this video description, so you can just simply copy paste it while you are performing all of this configuration and changes at your end. Learn.conf, this is the same file which we have created, and we are telling it that is going to be my new config, and we are going to reload it automatic. Okay, so this is the command basically which I'm going to run. Once my Kibana has been set up successfully, then I'm going to set up my logstash. Okay, so command is basically logstash -f dot // and config, then /learn.conf and --config dot reload dot automatic. So this is the command basically which I'm going to run in order to set up the logstash. But in order to do so, I have to basically first see out if my Kibana has started until now, yes or no. It's taking a lot more time. Okay, and it's showing me again the same error. That it's showing error, saved object Kibana timed out retrying attempt. Okay, browser executable modules screenshotting plugin win.chrome.exe. Okay, it's taking a lot of time. Or let me do one thing. Let me just quickly resolve this issue, because I'm not sure like what is the exact problem that it's not my server is not up and running as until now. And once I'm going to find out the root cause, I will be basically resuming this video, so you can follow out the same part at your end as well. Okay, so I will see you after a moment or so. Let me just sort out this issue first.
One eternity later.
So there wasn't any issue actually. It was just taking some time. I have also noticed that for a moment or so, my Logstash stopped responding it, but then it started sending the logs and everything, and you can see it has started taking all of the records. See logs for now more details, see log for more now details, and these are the basically logs generated by the Elasticsearch itself. Okay, these are not the logs which are getting it from the system. So don't get confused related with the logs generated by the system. That's not the case. Anyways, after giving it some time and like waiting it for patiently, it has gave me the task that the migration completed successful. I was previously wondering if this could be the problem, because it's showing me that access failed to process cluster event timeout exception, and then I research the search about it more, and it also get an error message here like unable to connect to Elasticsearch. So basically what I did is I just checked out if my Elasticsearch was running or not, and if in your case, let's say if your Windows got stuck, so all you have to do is just press enter 2 times, and then it's just going to refresh the terminal like quickly, and it's just going to start working again very soon. Anyways, after doing so, you can see that over my 5601, my local, basically my Kibana has been started. Let me just go to it again and show it to like how the whole process is going to look like. So here we are. Okay, and here you can see that if I go to the discover, you can see it's telling me that add your data to get started, because we haven't used added any sort of data from here. And here you can see the option of add integration, which I was telling you about. So from here you can select all the like the agents and all whatsoever you would like to install on your remote machines or the applications to fetch logs from out there. It's also asking about the elastic agent only or beats only. I have already told you the difference between the both. Okay, so beats are basically your lightweight shipper, and your elastic agent is basically going to be with your Logstash. Okay, and here it's going to tell me like rest of the user interface of it. So what we're going to do is let's now my Kibana has been set up, my like the Elasticsearch is also running. So now what I'm going to do is let's start with our Logstash file, and let me just click enter here, and it's just going to start with it. And once it's going to configure, the whole ELK stack has been perfectly set up and configured on your local machine. Now make sure that if you're going to close any one of these servers or services which are running into the background, your ELK stack is not going to work, because all of them are very important. Okay, my Elasticsearch again is just going to like index the data. My Kibana is going to show me the data, and my Logstash is basically going to fetch the data from wherever I would want it to be, and going to push it towards the Elasticsearch. Okay, so running off Elasticsearch and Logstash is important in order to fetch it, and for Kibana in order to visualize it. Okay, anyways, let's see why it's taking so time again. And right now I have run the command, so let it run into the background. Okay, and here goes my Logstash as well. And you can see it is basically telling me to push like the started the pipeline, and it basically getting the okay, you can see here it's putting the Logstash output to the localhost 9200. So basically what's going to happen is that my Logstash is going to get the file, okay, or get the logs, and it's going to put the output towards the localhost 9200, and there is I'm having my this thing. And you can also see it's showing me the Logstash adding index template pattern ECS Logstash. And here you can see that we have successfully configured ELK stack on our machine. Let me know if you want me to make another demonstration video in order to set up ELK stack over the Linux machines or over a live server. Okay, or if you would like to me in order to proceed with my Elastic agent and installation and integration, and like going with the complete integration, having the logs coming up in here of our discover part and all. Okay, you can let me know like what you would like to see next, and I will be creating a video for that.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future tutorials. And if you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Until next time, happy logging.